Well, g'day, folks. Today we're joined by the game's record holder at the Western Bulldogs. He's also a six-time All-Australian and co-founder of Zena Sports. Looking forward to finding out more about that. But a big shout out to the guys at the Safety Hub on 56 Cabin Road at Dry Creek. Get on down to see Johnny Clatton and the friendly gang down there. They'll give you some great deals. Tell them Bevo sent you.
Welcome to Legends with Bevo. Thanks to the Holdy Hotel, Coopers, and Anytime Fitness Glenelg.
Well, what a pleasure to have Brad Jono Johnson, the smiling assassin on Legends with Bevo. How you going, mates? And what have you been up to with this COVID-19 situation?
G'day, Bevo. Yeah, great to be with you, mate. It's been a different sort of time for everyone, hasn't it? So we've just sort of been bunkering in and doing what we're allowed to do here in Victoria, mate. And hopefully, in the next few days, restrictions are lifted a little bit and we can start moving around. But we've just been hanging at home and hanging with the kids and my wife, Donna, and just working on our business and working on the kids starting school again and all that. My son's in year 9, my daughter's in year 12. So a challenging time, but we've certainly enjoyed our time together as well, mate.
Oh, that's wonderful, mate. And what's your thoughts on the footy starting next month? Do you think it's too soon, or are you more about let's bring the footy back and get back into it?
Oh, look, I am. I'm bringing it back, mate. We love the footy and we love working in it, and can't wait to get back as quick as we possibly can, as long as it's safe. I think everyone understands that. As long as it's safe and as long as each state comes together and sort of says, yep, look, this is going to be okay for us if footy is played here with no crowds and all those sort of things, of course. But, logistically, it's a big thing to get it all up and going. But I'm sure by the middle of June now should be about the right time with the way that most states are handling the virus and making sure that everyone's safe and well. I think it's about right, mate. I think people are pretty much ready for it to come back, so they got something to watch as well.
Yeah, I agree. There's only so many old games you can watch before you want to see some of the new ones. So
that's a really good point, mate. But the best part about it is that how good has the footy been to watch? You know what I mean? Like, everyone's loving the fact of the one-on-one battles and going back to the past and seeing the big bag of goals and all that. And we've shown it all on Fox Footy, mate. So we're just about ready to get back into the real stuff as well.
Yeah, it's certainly good being watch some of the highlights and some of your action, of course, mate. Which we'll get to in a moment, because there's certainly been some highlights about that. But let's talk about Zena Sports, because you're doing a great job with your partner Donna. You're the co-founder, of course, of Zena Sports. It's basically it's a protective garment for women to do with contact sport. Tell us more about it and how it all came about, mate.
Yeah, look, it's been something that has been about probably 3.5 years in the making. To be honest, my wife Donna was at a game with one of her girlfriends, and they just started talking about breast and rib protection, and there wasn't sort of too much around. So Donna started to investigate it. We spent about 12 months just looking at it, and we sort of, it got to the point where it was sort of like, oh, we don't just have the skill set to be able to bring this together, and we fluctuated in how we're sort of going about it and what we're trying to achieve. And my wife found a lady by the name of Amanda Herod from Modulus Design, and we got her on board from a design point of view, and she was able to make it a reality, which has been great. So we worked with her for a good couple of years, worked with the AFL to tick it off in terms of being able to be worn in competition from a football point of view, and from there it's also evolved to a number of other sports as well, which have trialled it and loved it, and now we're at the point where we started to sell the garment at the start of this year, which was great. Sport has stopped, of course, with the virus, but it's actually given us time to take a bit of a breath and understand where we're going as a business and what we needed to do to really structure things up well and reach out to a few more girls, and that's been great. So the garment itself just protects the breast and the ribs for girls playing contact sport. They wear it over their crop top or bra, under their jumper, or whatever they're wearing, their top for sport. And it's been great. The girls that have worn it so far in an AFLW point of view have loved it. They've felt better post-game in those areas as well, and just absorbing some of the contact that comes their way. So it gives them confidence to play the best they can and pull up the best they can as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful, mate. And like you mentioned, it's really important to have that sort of protection, especially, I went to watch an AFLW game between the Crows and the Blues just before the coronavirus situation. Could not believe how hard those girls hit. So they certainly need some decent protection, that's for sure, around that region.
Oh, they crack in, the girls. There's no doubt about that. They have a red hot go, but it's not only at AFLW level. It's right through all either top level sport, or you go through to your junior and local level sport. And there's that many girls playing footy and sport now, which is just awesome. And it's been great over the last 3 years to really take a close look at not only AFLW, but all sports that the girls and women are playing, and seeing how they're going about it and understand it. And that's why we got to the point where we wanted to bring something in like this Zena garment, just to, as I said before, just to give the girls another option. And whether it is through footy or boxing or roller derby or gridiron or all these other sports that we've touched base with, it's really important that the girls feel comfortable and confident when they going into their field or arena. And
you recently reached out as well to the world champion of 4 times. That was Belle Brockhoff. Mate, I chatted to her. She's a lovely girl. Well, how'd you sort of end up reaching out to Belle? How'd this sort of all come about?
Oh, as you know, mate, it was a great interview as well that you put together with Belle, and she's a star.
You, mate.
I think everyone can absolutely, no worries. Everyone can see that, and she just lights up the room, I reckon, when you talk to her. And she's so passionate about her sport, and she's achieved so much after going through all the injuries and those sort of things as well, which come with the top and the high level sport that she's involved in the snowboard cross. So I've always watched it. I'm really intrigued by it because it's a bit of crash and bash, and it's high paced, and and the air they get and the speed they go, the girls that compete in it, it's a great spectacle. So I've been watching it for a number of years and following Belle in the background when she has been competing, and I just sort of reached out to her to see if she wears any type of armor or anything like that, just to get more of an understanding from us as a business in terms of what they do wear. And what sort of came back was, yes, obviously she does, but it just might add a layer of comfort to wearing that armor as well, that we sort of will hope will work well for Belle when she gets back out there. And now that the test for us all is Belle will get back out when things have settled down with the virus. She'll go up to Buller, I'm sure, and hit the slopes and give the garment a good workout for us, which will be a great trial. And it might even work out then that the garment becomes something that not only works from a snowboard point of view in terms of that top level under their armor that they wear when they're competing, but also just for the general public that hit the slopes. And you might be a beginner, and we know we hit the deck a lot when we go for the first time. So, or someone might crash into you. So it might be something that we can look at in the future as well, in terms of an undergarment for those that are just sort of learning in terms of hitting the slopes and going skiing or snowboarding for the first time.
I absolutely love the idea, mate. And you're certainly not wrong there. I can remember when I first learnt snow ski, there's certainly some big stacks and that. So I'm not even going to try snowboarding. I think it'd be a disaster.
I fell off the side of Mount Buller the first time. I was down the mountain off the edge the first time I went skiing. So I could have done with some protection way back then as well.
Hey, and you're not wrong about snowboarding, the actual sport itself. It's one of my favourite parts of the Winter Olympics. That snowboard cross, how hard those girls go. They're just knocking each other off their boards, and they're doing these flips, and there's just so much going on. It's just great to watch, isn't it?
It is. It's fantastic, and that's why we fall in love with someone like Belle in terms of that. The way that she competes at such that high level is absolutely enormous, and to be now number 2 in the world and the comeback and all that, it's just so inspiring for so many others that you can be the best in your game. You can be struck down by some injuries, but that never sort of say die attitude to get back up and get going to be the best again it's really inspiring. So, I'm sure so many people will look at Belle's story and understand that, you can achieve, a fair bit throughout a career, regardless of what you encounter along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And mate, going forward with Zena Sports, I guess, how do people sort of get involved in it in the first place? If there's people watching today that want to get involved in these great sort of garments and, for their protection of their own individual sports, how do they sort of find out more about it?
Yeah, well, you can reach out to us on, we've got our website, www.zenasport.co. We've also got our Instagram site as well, which is zenasport_co. So they're the 2 plugs there, Bevo. So thanks very much for that, mate. So have a look at that. You can certainly get in touch with us via email as well. And then, we're happy to, give the garment a go, and see if it suits you as a person. So that's the most important thing. So, we've got a lot of work still to do. We appreciate all the support that we've been given so far. There's a number of girls out there that have got the garment and are wearing it and absolutely loving it. So once sport starts up again, we'd love everyone to sort of, get involved with us and help us along our journey as well as a new startup company.
I'll be certainly plugging this for you and sharing it around. So it's a great initiative that you and Donna have come up with, mate. So well done. And I guess so. Going forward, say fast forward to 5 years' time, where do you see Zena Sports and what's the plan going forward, mate?
Oh, look, it's it's something that we're still finding our sort of feet and trying to make a footprint, I suppose, into the industry of all girls playing sport around the country and hopefully around the world. So we're sort of looking at it as a point that at the moment it's just sort of promoting it as best we can and getting it as many hands of the girls as possible. And then from there, it's just growth. Look, the growth in sport around Australia is enormous with girls playing a number of different sports at different levels. And that's what we're there for. So in 5 years' time, if we've tapped right into those markets and given the girls the chance to wear a garment that is extremely comfortable, that, suits their sport, that can help aid in sort of absorbing some of the contact through the breast and ribs, which is really important. Donna's done a lot of work, in that breast care area now as well over the last 3 years. She's really passionate about, looking after girls coming through through adolescence to women that are also playing sport. And Donna's really passionate about that now. And that's part of why she's developed the garment, as well as then also aiding in recovery. And so it can be used as a training tool. It can be used on match day as well. So it can sort of fill a couple of areas, the garment. So we're hopeful in the next sort of, 2, 3, 4, 5 years that we get that opportunity just to grow and really get it out there for the girls to give a red hot go with. And I'm sure they'll love wearing it when they give it a chance.
Absolutely love it, mate. Look forward to watching how the journey goes the next few years with Zena Sports. And speaking of journeys, let's now talk about your footy journey. Unbelievable, Jono. Let's just rack up some of these stats. 364 games for the Dogs. That's a record for the club. 6 times All-Australian. 3 times you've won the club best and fairest. You've absolutely done it all, mate. Talk us through your footy journey and I guess in terms of where it all began and how you end up playing with the Doggies.
Oh, look, it's something that I just absolutely love. I've loved the game since I was a little kid. I didn't start playing until I was under 13, so I was more into basketball and athletics as a sort of youngster, and I loved my athletics. It's probably my favourite sport outside of footy, and it's something that I've always loved and competed in. And then I got the chance to finally play some footy at Hoppers Crossing, where I grew up in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and from there, that's where sort of the journey sort of started. I played 3 years at Hoppers Crossing, under 13s, 14s, and 15s, and then got drafted. Then I went to Williamstown actually and played in the VFA back then. I played under 19s and played a couple of reserves games as a 15-year-old because I was pretty soft, Bevo, so I had to go and toughen up as a footballer. So I went and played some older type and went and tried out for Williamstown and made their list as a 15-year-old. So that was a challenge, but good fun. I learned a lot in my 1 year there because the year before I sort of didn't have a really good couple of carnivals that I was involved in as a junior and sort of got told, you either got to go and try and toughen up a little bit or go back to your athletics and try, and be the best you can at that. So I went and toughened up, and which was good for my footy, and playing against men as a 15, 16-year-old was huge for my development. And then I went back to the Western Jets in the under-18 competition here in Victoria and felt really comfortable. So as a 17-year-old, I was able to have a really good year with the Western Jets and then was drafted. So within 2 years of, not really knowing whether I'd make it or not to making it was great. And then I walked through the doors of the Bulldogs and just fell in love with the place. I grew up barracking for them. I knew a lot of the players, admired so many of them, and then walked in there and was welcomed into the family and never looked back. I had 17 fantastic years. I loved absolutely every moment that that I had the opportunity to pull on the jumper for the red, white and blue.
And in 2016, the Dogs broke a 62-year premiership drought, mate. Talk us through that particular day and when that final siren went, your beloved Dogs winning the premiership.
It was enormous, Bevo. It really was. It was great to be there with the family. It was something that because I'd break for the club. I've been waiting 35 odd years myself, to see a flag. So, I was sort of lucky enough that in my first year at the Dogs, I played in the reserves premiership, which was huge, and we absolutely loved that. Never getting to do that at senior level was something that sort of sat. It was just one of those things that not winning a flag at senior level just sits with you, and then to see the club finally achieve that with the players and the class of players that they were able to do that in 2016. It was the best final series I've ever seen in my life, and I've watched a lot of footy, and that month of footy that the Bulldogs put together was just enormous. It captured the nation. I think everyone outside of the teams they were playing throughout those final series were hoping the Bulldogs would get up and win. And then that grand final, the pressure and just that last probably 10 minutes of play was enormous to see Pickens stand up and Stringer and even Shane Biggs do his bit, for the club in what was a massive passage of play on the southern stand wing for the Dogs. Those sort of things you'll never forget as a supporter, just sitting back watching, and we're able to get on the ground after the game and see the boys celebrate. It was pretty special to be there, and I interviewed a few players after the game working for Fox. Interviewed Chris Hemsworth after the game just to drop a name that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Interviewing him was cool, just to see him in the rooms and have a chat to him and that sort of stuff. So there was that much going on, but it was something that we'll never forget, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the best grand finals of all time, that's for sure. So let's talk about your career again, mate. You played with some absolute superstars, but talk to us through some of the best players that you played with, and perhaps some of the toughest opponents that you've come across.
Oh, so many played with so many guns, honestly. Across the years, like I started with guys like Steve Wallace and Steve McPherson and Doug Hawkins, who were unbelievable at that time. And then, to play with Chris Grant, play a lot of footy with Chris Grant, Scotty West, Rowan Smith were just fantastic. They have helped drive my career, especially as a youngster. They took me under their wing and fast-tracked me as a player and taught me how to survive in a really ruthless and tough industry. So that was they were just fantastic guys, but also unbelievable players. Like the stuff Grandy would do on a week-to-week basis was inspiring. Like to walk out behind Grandy as our captain, you knew you're okay because he had such a presence about him, and whether he was playing centre half back or centre half forward, you knew you're in good hands for those couple of hours that you're out in the park. So he was just unbelievable. As was Westy was great for 7-time best and fairest winner. He's not a bad player to be able to achieve that. And Smitty was just unbelievable in terms of his sort of leadership. The way he brings the young players together was just phenomenal, and that's probably why he always looked after the boys out in the west as well, being a Western Suburbs lad himself. So he grabbed me early on and made sure that we become best mates. And then you go through then there were guys like Adam Cooney and Ryan Griffin who were unbelievable players. Rob Murphy, Luke Darcy. Like there's so many. Lindsay Gilby. I could go on and on about individual players that were absolutely awesome to play with because they were just stars. It was just one of those things that just didn't align for us at the right time to win one as a club with those core group of players. But that's just the way it fell. But playing with them and as teammates and as mates, just phenomenal guys.
And in terms of your toughest opponents, mate, obviously you've come up against some absolute guns, but who were maybe a couple of your toughest opponents and why?
They're all tough, Bevo, honestly, mate. You can never give an opposition player an even break. That's for sure. So I think early on I learnt the most in terms of being work rate and commitment from opposition players. So I played early on Craig Bradley and Peter Matera, Nathan Buckley, Robert Harvey. I was thrown to the wolves a little bit by my coaches, but that was the best thing for me as a player in terms of development. Playing against those guys Shane Crawford, unbelievable player in terms of what he was able to do, his fitness levels and the way he ran across the ground. Spent time on, James Hird. Andrew McLeod, by far the toughest opponent that I ever played on. His ability to read the game, his speed off the mark, you couldn't stop the guy. So I learned a lot of lessons early as a midfielder and as a winger and tagging a little bit. So then when I went forward and played on some of the defenders in the competition, I had a real different mindset in terms of work rate. And that shift in position, I think, really helped me as a player anyway to go forward. But it gave me a lot of confidence knowing that I'd be able to sort of at least control physically, some of the best defenders in the competition by trying to outwork them from the lessons that I learned from some of the very best players in the game.
And you mentioned before you spent 17 years at the Doggies. You must have come across some good pranks in your time, mate. Do you want to share a couple of those?
Oh, so many. The ones I can share with you, Bevo. Look at there was a number of pranksters. Like Granny was actually pretty good. He had that good sense of, one thing you never did with Granny was wear thongs to training, because you'd make sure that, after training, you'd walk back to your locker, and most guys sat their shoes on top of the locker. And if you had your thongs there, Granny would make sure that he super glued your thongs to the top of the locker. You know what I mean? So you couldn't get them off. We used to get one bag a year. Now they were actually quite big bags, so you fit all your gear in there. And if you annoyed a couple of the teammates that were good at the pranks, they'd make sure they'd cut the handles off. And we only get one bag a year, so instead of being able to carry the bag in properly, you'd have to carry the bag from underneath for the whole footy season, into the change rooms, into training, into games, guys carrying their bags like that. So we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun along the way. We really did. The best prankster, though, that I've ever come across was Glenn Jakovich. So we worked together through the AFL Academy for about the last 8 years, and we've roomed together a lot. And he would make sure that, if he got into our room first, he's coming from WA, I'm coming from Victoria. If he got into the room first and we're rooming together, the whole entire hotel room was on my bed. But I'm talking everything, not just a chair or something like that. I'm talking the whole room was stacked on my bed. So he was the best. Like, the amount of times I'd turn up home and I'd have a tea set in my bag because he's pranked me and took that home with me. Or he was the best. Because when you're traveling with these guys and you're away for 10 to 12 days at a time, you got to have a bit of fun. And Jacko was the best at it. Don't worry, he kept us entertained as coaches, but he just made it real for the young players coming through as well, to say, hey, this is serious, but you can have some fun as well along the way. So he was by far the best I've come across.
Mate, that's the best part about footy, isn't it? Just having fun and the banter you have with your mates and that sort of thing. And that's what I loved as well about playing footy for 20 plus years myself. And mate, obviously you mentioned before about Fox Footy. You're doing a wonderful job as the experts commentator on Fox Footy. What's it like as a commentator, commentating the game you love? And there must be some good banter in the commentary box as well, Johnny.
Great fun. It really is. We're really lucky with where we work at Fox Footy. They're an unbelievable company to work for, and they helped so many of us settle outside of the game, which has been great. And I work with Dermy every Saturday night on Saturday Stretch, and he was my idol growing up. Like, I loved Dermy, and he knows that I love him, so he can do no wrong in my eyes, the big fella. So that's always entertaining working with Dermy. But you know what? There's so many guys that have achieved so much in the game that we work with, and they're just absolute rippers. And it's great fun in the commentary box, but we travel a lot together, and it's always good fun to socialise with these guys. And for guys that have achieved so much, they're absolute no egos whatsoever, and that's what makes it such a great place to work. And whether it's Jason Dunstall with what he's achieved throughout his career, he's an absolute star, through to young guys that are stepping out of the game and coming through, like Nicky Dalsano and now Nick Rewald, who's making some really good ground in with Fox Footy. Like, these guys are just absolute rippers to work with and be around on a daily basis. And we love him. I love working with Hutto. His commentary is unbelievable. Dwayne Russell with his one-liners. Some of the best going around. We just have a lot of fun, and hopefully that's part of it, isn't it? To try and entertain everyone and let them enjoy the game, which is the most important thing, but also have a bit of fun with it as well.
Yeah, well said, mate. And before I let you go as well, outside of footy, now you mentioned Zena, you mentioned you've got a couple of kids. What other interests do you have outside of footy, John?
Oh, look, it really, I love my golf. Absolutely love playing golf. But outside of that, it's more just really around the kids at the moment. My son races go-karts. He loves motorsport, so that's his passion. Our daughter Ella has just released her first single, which has been huge. She loves her singing and has jumped into the deep end, it's been well received, which has been great. So that's called Goodbye Player. So check that out.
I did hear that the other day, mate. It was sensational. Yeah, she's got a real talent.
Those sort of things keep us really busy, and it's all about the kids and giving them the best opportunity to work hard at what they love, which they just, and you know what it's like when someone loves something, they'll put everything into it. So the kids are doing that with either Ella with her singing and Jack with his racing. So that keeps us entertained. That's enough for our week, mate. When you've got footy, those activities with the kids, and a new business, we're well and truly stocked. So we and then we just try and get out and do our own little thing, Donna and I, or go over here to golf, relax, and have a bit of fun on the outside as well.
You mentioned golf, mate. Sam Newman's come out and been pretty vocal about no golf courses. I'm with him, actually. I do feel a bit sorry for you guys, because there's lots of other things you can do in Melbourne that are worse than playing golf, and I don't understand why they've shut the golf courses down.
Well, you can play in other states, but not in Victoria. So I think that'll change very quickly, hopefully in the next 24 hours, so that we can start getting back out and having a hit and socialising with our mates as well. Even if you can't go into the clubhouse, like just go and play in your pairs to start, maybe then get the groups of fours as the week goes on. But exactly. I can't see it being an issue from this point on, and hopefully you go, you play, and hopefully eventually we get to the point where you can go have a beer in the clubhouse afterwards. But at the moment there'll be no problem with just off you go. You've had your game, you've had your fun with your mates, and then take off home again, and you steer clear anyway. So I think that'll relax in the next week or so, which would be great to get back out there again. I live in Geelong. We've got some great courses down this way that I can't wait to get back out and have a crack at.
Mate, beautiful part of the world, Geelong. So, except in 07 when they knocked my beloved Port Power off, that wasn't too good. We won't talk about that. No, you're right. Sammy will be one of the first ones at the golf course. I think, mate, he'll be there lined up when the very first when they get the okay. He'll be there for sure.
Oh yeah, but he won't be the only one. There'll be a few. I think there'll be a few lined up behind him, ready to tee off as well. Everyone's pretty keen to get back out there and being able to watch other states hit the course and enjoy their time. Well, I think it's time that hopefully we can get back out there as well and enjoy it's getting colder down here, but still get out there and enjoy the game.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, Brad, Jono, it's been a pleasure having on Legends with Bevo today, mate. Well done on everything so far you've been doing with Zena Sports. As I mentioned, I'll definitely give that a big plug for you and keep up the great work. You and Donna, thanks so much for your time today. Say thank you to Donna as well for organising this interview. It's very kind of her, mate. And it's just been a joy to speak to you about your amazing career and everything else you've been doing, mate. Keep up the great work.
Too easy, Bevo. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. All the best with yourself as well. And we really appreciate your support, mate. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Take care, mate.
Legends with Bevo. Thanks to the Holdie Hotel, Coopers, and Anytime Fitness Glenelg.